good evening. Hi. This stream is just gonna be a quickie stream. Well, hopefully. I'm gonna do a brief, quick and dirty housing tutorial for a friend. And we're gonna go, basically go through the system fairly quickly and see what it's all about. So, you don't have to watch, it's all good. Well, except the person it's intended for. Alright, first off, you can purchase a house at level 15. There is a housing vector quest breadcrumb that will send you to Bree to talk to a Tad Ashmead, who will then tell you to talk to a housing broker in one of 4 areas. To start off with, there are 2 kinds of housing instances in-game. There are the 4 initial racial areas that launched when the game first launched housing. They are here in Falathlorn in the Elvenstarden area. There's one in Thorin's Gate in the Dwarvenstarden area. There is one outside the Midgewater Marshes for the Breelanders for humans. And there is one in the close to the gate to the South Farthing for hobbitses. It's southeast of Mickeldelving. There is another set of housing in the system for premium housing, and that is a different sort of system, but we'll go over the whole 9 yards here before the day is done. I am outside the Elven instance because I own a house here and I wanted to show it off because it's pretty. Here's our housing broker.
How may I be of service to you?
If you open up the housing broker UI, you can see what neighborhoods have houses available, which houses are available, and you can check out and see which ones are which. So, for example, we'll just pick this one right here. You can sort by house type. You can hide just the ones that you're looking for. So, standard house is your basic single house. Each one is will tell you how many interior hooks that you can use to decorate and how many exterior hooks, and what you get with that. It tells you how much it costs to purchase and how much it costs per week to keep it going. Now, you can access your housing UI if you're on your property. There will be a little icon up here on your mini-map. Otherwise, you can go to your character screen and click on house. Alright. For houses that are not yet purchased, you can actually click the tour house button to go visit that specific house, or if you're here at the broker, you can buy the house straight up. You can only own 1 personal house per server across your entire account. For the premium housing in Belfalis, you can own as many as you like because they are purchased a different way. Now, as you might notice here, the housing prices are different. And the only thing that tells you as to why a house might cost more than another house is because of location, location, location. The better placed houses are going to be more expensive, even if they're the same kind of house with the same exact number of interior housing hooks, etc. So there's that. Alrighty, now there are three types of houses. There is a standard house, there is a deluxe house, and there is a kinship house. The deluxe house is also a bigger, it's a bigger set of, basically it costs more to maintain, and it offers, double the exterior hooks and a couple extra, double the interior hooks and a couple extra exterior hooks. Again, you can tour the house if you want to. It'll teleport you to it. Again, there are 4 different housing areas. This is classic housing. This is the way it's been in the game for years and years and years. And let's say you don't already own a house and you want to go take a look at one of the instances. You can then go to the instant portal. And these are all instanced by area, like each neighborhood looks exactly the same. And here you have your list of neighborhoods. And anyone that you have a house in, it'll tell you. And you can click on it to make it a favorite, so that you can search just by favorites by clicking the little gold star. And then you can tell it to enter that specific instance. And each neighborhood looks exactly the same. So this is what the Elven one looks like. No fuss, no muss. Now we're going to go down to my particular house. Each housing instance has a couple of different features. They all have task bulletin boards and collection boxes for all tasks. And if you notice, they finally revamped the collection box. You got a 0 to 64 and then a 65 to cap. Got a town crier to point you to some interesting things. And you also have vendors here. There's a mailbox. There's your skirmish trainer and a skirmish bard. So if you like to do the skirmishes, there you go. You also have a vault keeper, an escrow broker, a supplier provisioner, a relic master, forge master, a healer, and housing furnishers. Now the housing furnishers.
How may I be of service?
Sorry about that. We'll sell different things based on which one you're talking to. The ones in Gondor, for example, will sell more things. But overall, it's pretty much the same thing right here. But yeah, the Gondorian ones will sell more cool stuff, and we'll go there in a little bit. The escrow broker, if you don't have any need to talk to them, you don't get to talk to them. Now, if you choose or are unable to complete your upkeep and your house gets foreclosed upon, it gets locked out for a period of time, then what can happen, I'm actually going to just do this the hard way. I'm going to jump off the hill because it's faster. Sploosh. And the reason I picked this house is because, honestly, it's the prettiest one. Seriously. Look. It's right here on the water. You got a little bit of, a personal little fishing pond here. You got the pretty lights. So, yeah, of course I was going to pick it up. It was fine. Each house has a mailbox. If it is not already bought, it'll have a for sale sign right out here. You can buy it from the for sale sign just as you could from the broker. And when you're on the property that you own, you can click the decoration mode to mess with the decorations. If you have privileges in the system to mess with it. So for right now, if I click on this item, it's got a white lawn chicken on it. And if I had any housing items, I could then replace an item with the item in my inventory. I don't currently have one that I can use, and that's okay. And there's nothing that says that you can mix, that you can't mix or match an item. So if you right click on something, it will bring up this decoration UI where you can manipulate the item in question. What it will do is you can then drag the item off of the bar if you have permission, and it'll go into your inventory if you drag it to your inventory. If you click the return to owner button, it will return it to the owner. Now, if you don't own the item, it won't let you remove it and put it in your inventory. You can't steal other people's decorations. All you can do is send them back to their inventory. Now, since this is an outside housing hook, you can only rotate the item around like this. Just spin it around. And that's okay. Alright. Now, the interior housing hooks are a little bit different. With these items, you can do things like you can rotate it. And this one, since it's a wall item, you can rotate it along the wall. And if you click the little item, it resets it back to the beginning. Now, what you can do with this one is you can, slide it to the left and to the right, away from the wall, into the wall. I wonder if that would look cool outside or whatever. It's kind of interesting. Or you can, slide it up and down like that. And you notice it's a little string that points you to where it is from the center. So if you click the little buttons, it will refocus it back into the default settings. You can also edit things such as what the floor looks like. There's a floor surfaces option here. There's a wall surface. So for right now, my wall surface has the Elven Yule Fest decorations on right now. You can put ambient music on, which right now it is showing the Karis Galathon theme, which I had bought from the LotRO store. You can buy several of them from the LotRO store. You can also pick them up at festivals. For example, right now you can buy the Spring Festival theme. If you have spring leaf tokens, you can buy the spring leaf one. And that will rotate out based on which festival and whatnot. Not all festivals have music that you can purchase, just FYI. Alrighty, so ambient music, you also can change the color of the walls. There are wall color paints that you can purchase either directly from a scholar or purchase on the auction house. I think there's some you can buy in the store. Pardon me. And you can then change what color the walls are, and that's actually kind of cool. To turn off the housing, there we go. This is what it looks like normally. By the way, this is probably my favorite housing decoration, the Seer's Orb. It's the same Palantir that Saruman has, so it's really cool. So, housing has these housing storage items, and they start off at 30 slots each. You can buy more storage with gold. So if I want to add more storage here, I could spend 27 gold to make it up to 60 slots. It does max out, I do believe. I don't remember how much it maxes out as. You can also buy it with Mithril coin, if you like. Now with personal housing, there's a couple different things you want to be aware of. So when you go into the housing UI, it'll tell you first of all the info of which house you're currently standing in, who does it belong to. This belongs to my alt Phoenix. Phoenix is my main. I'm over on Crick Hollow, by the way. It tells me how much I spent on it, how much I spend to keep it up every week, and how much money I have. Now, if you want to pay on a house, you go over here to the maintenance tab, and next upkeep will be deducted in 3 days and 11 hours. And the lockout date is the date where I can't get back into the house and all my stuff goes into escrow. One thing to bear in mind is you can, if you so choose, you can abandon a house. It's not in this UI, but you can abandon your house. However, caution, just like it says right here, if you abandon a house and you paid in advance, your upkeep will not be refunded, whether it's Mithril coin or in-game gold. So buyer beware. However, back in the day when the system first launched, you could only keep housing up for a month, and then it would it was very punishing. Not in terms of money, but in terms of how long it will let you pay up in advance. So since this is gonna unlock or lock me out in June, I'm gonna set it so it will now unlock me in September. So that's going to cost me 715 silver, because this is a small house. Boom. Done. Any of your alts can pay on your personal house. It doesn't actually matter. Now, the final step of this is permissions. With a personal house, you get these three. You can decide how this is set up. Now, this is the default. You as the owner, again, all of your alts on this account count as the owner and have full permission in the system, and you cannot remove yourself from these permissions. Everyone is like every other random player. And there are these 7 items that you can select to give them permission to do. Visitor means that, as it says, it allows you to enter inside this house. Right now, nobody can get into this house except me and my alts on this account. And this is important to say by account rather than by player, because there are some players that have multiple accounts on the same server. I have one. I use it for kin maintenance. So, you can either flag somebody as a visitor, and these are cumulative. You can use them all, or any and all of these as you decide. Visitor is the basic one. Can they come inside your house? The next one is housing storage. If you grant access to somebody with the housing storage flag, that means they can open this box and take out anything in that box, and deposit things in that box. But basically, if you're concerned that somebody's going to steal your stuff, don't give them housing storage permission. Maintenance. Normally you think it'd be a great idea to let anybody pay your rent for you. However, you probably may not want the drama of somebody paying rent for you and then demanding you do something for them. So generally, most people are not going to leave that open for all. It's not like a Twitch tip jar or something like that. Decorate. Let's see. One other thing you can do with maintenance is you can unlock additional housing storage. Remember the UI where it said you could add more storage? Yeah, they can do that if you grant them access to doing so. So under decorate, this allows people to add or remove housing items. Again, as I mentioned earlier, somebody cannot steal your housing items per se. They can remove it from the wall. They can vandalize. It's kind of like Wikipedia. They can vandalize your house, but you can easily revert the changes by A, locking them out, and B, putting your stuff back once you reclaim it from your storage. Now, if you have an item that is account bound, and somebody does the thing where it returns it to owner, it'll go into the housing storage. Like, for example, this model of Mount Doom I had placed in one of my other houses, on my personal house, and then I had deleted it, or had clicked on return to owner, and it came into my housing storage because it was an account bound item. It wasn't bound to a specific character. So this is where it went. Though I think it should have actually gone to shared storage, but it'll be fine here. Finally, you can grant members of your kinship to your personal house. You cannot dictate what level of rank they have within the kin. It's basically, if they're in your kin, this applies to them all. So the other thing about decorations is you can grant somebody permission to help decorate your house. And if they come back and take their stuff, they take their stuff. If they come back and try to take your stuff, you still get it back. If you want to let people use housing decorations, that is the option here. Some decorations are things that you can click on, things like the premium ingredient crate, or the regular ingredient crates that you can purchase from the LotRO store. You place them down in a yard option, and it will allow somebody to right-click on it and get 3 or 6 universal ingredient packs that they can use to make account-bound crafting items. Very handy if you want to grind your crafting without having to waste your mats that you might want to make stuff to sell on the auction house or to trade to friends or whatever. Okay, the final permission here is the big one. This is manage permissions. This grants permission to manage permissions. You do not want to give this to anybody. Basically, depending on your level of trust issues, personally, I trust hardly anybody. I would probably not even grant manage permissions to my best friend if I had one. Again, if it's one of those relationship things and you want somebody to be able to like help manage this on your personal stuff, it's up to you, but it really is going to be some you really should trust whoever you give that permission to, because what they can do is completely wreak havoc on any permission for anybody else except you as the owner. So it's basically like being a super mod. You have 50 slots of group or character names that you can add to allow people to come visit. So, for example, for your personal house, your alts are already invited. But this is a little bit different when it comes to kinship houses. Now, I'm going to take you to my kinship house, which is over in the Belfilas housing area, because it's a little bit different with Belfilas housing, and it's going to be a little bit interesting when we go there. And I need to actually, here we go. One thing, you can travel to your personal house from anywhere in the game. It is a 1 hour cooldown, but you can buy options from the LotRO store to bring that travel time down to a lot less than that. There's also a travel to kinship house that is available, also with a 1 hour cooldown with the same, unlocking abilities available in the LotRO store. Now, my kinship house is actually in the Belfilas homesteads, which is a little bit of a different monster. In the Belfilas housing, it is premium housing, which means you have to buy it with mithril coin. So we're gonna take a moment. I'm actually gonna go to the housing broker. We're going to show you what I'm talking about because this is very important. Now, unlike classic housing, you cannot purchase... classic housing, you can purchase one personal home, and that is the only home you can have across your entire account. Players have long wanted the ability to say, well, I want my hobbit to have a hobbit, I want my dwarf to have a dwarf house, and go from there. But you can only have one personal classic house across an account on a single server. Now, here in the Belfilas housing, it looks like this. These are kin houses. These two are kin houses, and these are a mix and match of the small houses and the larger personal houses. Now, you can buy as many premium houses as you want, and the reason you can do that...
What can I do for you today?
...is because... we'll use this one here. Ooh, One Cape Road is available. I actually like that house. And the reason you can do that is because they are purchased strictly with mithril coin, or you can buy housing writs to buy them. Now, one of the other differences between Belfilas housing here in Gondor and traditional classic housing in the other 4 areas is if you are a VIP, you do not have to pay upkeep, ever. So if you notice, it says upkeep costs for 1 gold per week. They're premium housing. This is definitely a gold sink if you're not VIP. So you can buy writs in the store. You can also get mithril coins if you need to. Because I don't have enough mithril to buy this house, and I kind of want it, but I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to be cheap. But the other big thing about these houses is that they have a far greater number of housing hooks. Like, this house has 124, and this is the small house, right? This is they call it the stately house. The larger personal houses are called a luxurious house, and it has 140 interior hooks and 27 exterior hooks. And then the kin house has 180 exterior hooks and 180 interior, 36 exterior. So that's pretty much housing. It's not really a lot of rocket science. Want to see if there's anything else I'm missing here. One thing about a kinship house, you cannot buy one until your kinship is level 7. And it can only be purchased by the leader of the kinship. Now, here's the thing, is if you buy a kinship house as the leader of a kin, and you transfer ownership to another person in the kinship, then that owner, that kin leader, still has to remain VIP or other, because the upkeep only applies to who the owner is. So if you are a kin member who then gets promoted to leader, you buy the house with your mithril coin, so they don't have to buy it with their mithril coin. And then you transfer leadership back to them. They get ownership of the house as the kin leader. And they can then go in and they would still have to pay upkeep if they were a premium or VIP. That's the way it is. Now, the leader of the kinship is the one that manages the permissions for the kin house. So let's go back there. And in fact, we should be able to... Let's see if it's going to let me do this. That's not what I wanted, but that's okay. You can get to it a couple of different ways to the UI. So you can use this, but this little button here will take you to your house, but the main thing here is the simple fact that it still counts the it still goes by the skill, because when you purchase a house, a premium house of any kind, a personal house of any kind, a premium house, personal house of any kind, or your kin has a kin house, then you will get the a skill that you can add to your hotbar to just basically teleport right there. That's really cool. So let's go back to my island home. The cool thing about the island homes is both of them come with a stage that you can then, people can show up and have concerts. There's 2 big lawns that you can decorate. And here's an example of a housing item that you can actually use to do something. If you notice, it's clickable. And this one gives you, you can have your own perfect, your own snowball fight. You don't need a snowball skill from the festival or anything like that. Like some of my alts have a snowball skill that I don't need a perfect snowball in my inventory to use. So here's the ingredient crates I was mentioning. Now this one is only usable by subscribers, so only VIP can use this particular crate, and you have to be level 15 before you can use it either way. And this regular crate is available to anybody who is level 15 or above. Now these crates are things that I'm telling you about where you have to allow the use of decorations before they can actually right click on it. So you have to allow that to be a thing. Now the housing islands are pretty gosh darn big, so you can see this is pretty much the entire island. However, the housing hooks are strictly in this lower section right here. Actually, my favorite one is on top of the mountain itself. There is one up here. As you can see over the shoulder of the mountain, you can see the Big Dipper. And here is my current favorite housing decoration, the infamous standing stone. And if you can hear it, the rocks are grinding. I don't know how they're grinding because they're not touching anything that we're seeing. But, yep, that's a housing hook. There are no housing hooks down here. It's just a cute back porch. that you can use to mess with stuff. And the stage for the smaller island is actually over here. And the lawn continues all the way down there. You can see all these lawn places that you can put stuff on. But you can't decorate the actual stage area. This is just basically a stage area. So far, I haven't really heard of anybody hosting a concert at one of these, simply because while the Belfless housing is accessible to pretty much any level, as soon as you're out of the introductory instance, you can come here. All you have to do is get to Bree, talk to Nalfwen, the housing broker, who has like several clones throughout the game, and then you can come to, you know, the Belfless housing. There's no mob, so you won't get attacked. And then you just do what you gotta do. Let's turn that off. And the housing interface is fairly... No, I don't have permissions to do this because I'm not the housing owner. Oops. So I should probably switch over to my housing alt. Hang on here. Let me switch over to my main real quick. Sorry about that. I should have done this on my main, but hey! Hunter teleports. I like those. Give me just un momento, por favor. Let's go to my kinship house here. Here we are. I'm the follower of Thorn and Company. Alright, so... again, the permissions for a kinship house can only be managed by the leader, or you would have to specifically allow your alt to manage the let's turn that off. So, here we go. So what, this is the default interface for, well, it's not the default, but this is the interface for kinship house. As the leader, I can do everything, and I can't turn any of these off. I can allow people to visit. By default, this is, again, turned off, the same as it is for a personal house. So I toggled it so people could come in the house and play with the decorations, because Corey Olsen and Mythgard, Corey brought his stream on a field trip to my kinship house, and I had forgotten to unlock the house. I have it set so that kin members can visit. Kin members that I trust and kin officers can mess with the storage. Kin officers can also pay for maintenance, which is not necessary because I'm a VIP, eternally so. Kin officers can also decorate, and they can also use any decorations. Now, a kin member, I'm going to grant them permission to use decorations, but kinship recruits cannot access storage. This is one way you can keep kinnies out of, you know, new people to your kin. Keep it from, you know, the usual guild drama of where you invite somebody new to your guild, they raid your guild bank, and then, you know, they go sell it on the auction house or whatever. This prevents that from happening. So these ranks are automatic. And then you have 50 slots to define specific visitation rights. And how you do that is you click add, and you type the name of the player you want to add. In this case, I'm going to add Silver Stars. She's one of my alts. She is in her own separate instance, and she inherited the everyone. the everyone permissions. So if I said everyone cannot play with housing, now everyone can. So right now the only people who can't play with play with the decorations is a Kinney recruit. Again, with this, you do not want to give privileges to any. You can't. Well, actually, I don't think you can. Yeah, well, actually, you can. Do not give privileges to manage privileges to anybody except. You might do it to like an officer, but in general terms, lock it down. Just keep it locked and don't mess with it. So you can't make changes without actually making changes. So if you saw, I didn't save it, so I had to put silver stars back in. Done. And she gets her permissions, and then you apply and it's saved. And now I have one slot full. So don't be very sociable and have a lot of friends. And this is what a huge kinship house looks like. Housing storage, you get the one chest here. And you can fill it up with all kinds of stuff. So I have all this junk sitting in my kinship house. A lot of these were donated by my kinship, and I just didn't put them all down. One of the cool things you can do if you want to help your kinnies get the cartographile deed, which I will show you about here real quick. No, it's race and social deed. Not completed. I need it. There's a couple of these. There's a Moria one, and then there's the Ariador one, where you obtain these various maps at the various festivals and various reasons, and then you get that. So what you do is you let your kinnies be able to decorate your house, and trust them not to do shenanigans, and just put all of your maps that you collect on the wall. So they take it off the wall, get it in the inventory, get the ding for it, put it back on the wall. So that's kind of cool. So you can put all kinds of fun things down here. You got a songbird, you got all these items. One of the cool things about Belfast housing is that it has these courtyards out here, at least for the big kin houses, and these are actually yard items. So you can put outdoor items here because technically, while it's not open to the air, it's considered a courtyard because for some reason Gondor liked indoor greeny courtyards. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. You can purchase extra storage, the kinship house, same as your regular house. Just go to the storage chest and click add space, and it is only purchasable with Mithril coin. So there you go. So that is the short version of houses and housing in LotRO. There's a lot more that goes on with this. A couple of final points. Again, if you abandon house, your stuff will, let's see. There are some crafting recipes that can be used to make items for the house, such as a table that you can put down, potted plants, chandeliers, candlesticks, candle stands, paintings, some various pieces of furniture, and they're all kind of cool. And one of the other cool things about having a house inside one of these housing neighborhoods is that you will get a vendor discount on things like the healer, the provisioner, stuff like that. So that's one of the things you probably should consider doing when you buy a house. So that's about it for housing in LotRO. There are still more details to explore and mess around with if you really wanted to. But you can check out more information on the LotRO wiki under the term housing. And yeah, I will see you soon enough. So peace out. Stay out of trouble. Don't do the thing I would do. It's probably illegal.